goes up. Let's talk to Andrew Montford, Director of Net Zero Watch. Andrew, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike.
Well, I mean, Ed Miliband goes more and more insane with every passing week, doesn't he? I mean, last time we spoke, he was, coming up with some madcap plans. Now he's managed to get a whole summit of people together to agree with him. And for Keir Starmer, let's have a look at what Keir Starmer said yesterday.
When it comes to energy, we are also paying the price for our overexposure over many years to the roller coaster of international fossil fuel markets, leaving the economy and therefore people's household budgets vulnerable to the whims of dictators like Putin, to price spikes and to volatility that is beyond our control.
He makes no mention, of course, of the ludicrous net zero policies that have got us here and have made us so reliant on foreign energy.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting point. There appears to be a campaign by the green blob at the moment to convince people that it's gas prices that are the problem. The issue with this is that the Ofgem data shows unequivocally that that is not the case. Essentially, your electricity bill is about £300 more expensive in real terms than it was 10 years ago. Yeah. Of that £300, about £75 you could say is something to do with gas, and about 150 of it, so more than half, in fact, is down to what Mr. Cameron called the green crap. So what Starmer is saying here is simply false. But everybody in the green blob is saying it at the moment, and they are trying to mislead you. I think what they're trying to do is to keep the renewables show on the road. So they're throwing all these things out here like, gas is to blame, but they're also stuff like, oh, we're going to do zonal pricing. We're going to have different pricing across the country. And again, this to me looks like gaslighting. It's just trying to distract people from the actual problem, which is renewables.
Of course. And I mean, we hear all these ridiculously false figures as well. I mean, Starmer was banging on yesterday about £300 million investment coming in for some kind of onshore wind, and also £2 billion going into the green sustainable energy business, also investment. It's not investment, it's taxpayers' money that they're putting in because they're not getting any private investment. GB Energy is a sham company. It's a complete and utter waste of space. It doesn't do anything. And they're making out, and it got several mentions yesterday from Miliband and Starmer about how brilliant it's going to be because it's going to save us all a load of money. Well, where is the saving? Well, I haven't seen one.
Absolutely. I mean, this 300 million or whatever it was for wind it's in fact just a disguised subsidy. Right. I think the problem was that the existing subsidies were getting so many bad headlines. They thought they would disguise an extension of the subsidies as something else. So they're saying this is to do with creating jobs in the UK supply chain. It isn't really about that. It's about giving wind farms more money than we were previously. Yeah. Because the wind farms are getting nervous. They can see that the writing is on the wall, and that the whole net zero thing is going to fall apart. It's simply because the country can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, and also now that they've had this setback about the Chinese solar panels, and now apparently we're not allowed to buy them because they might have been built by slaves. Well, we told Miliband that 2 weeks ago, I think, and suddenly it took him a week to work it out, and he's now been told he can't buy any from China at all. And if you can't buy them from China, there aren't any.
Well, exactly. So, so what are you going to do? Are you going to go to, I don't know, Spain or somewhere and buy really expensive solar panels? That's not going to help bills, is it? It's almost everything Mr. Miliband is trying to do at the moment. It's putting the prices of people's bills up, and you can see this in the official data. Bills are going to keep going up at least for the next 5 or 6 years, and probably beyond as well, until we realise, or the politicians realise, that we need to reverse, we need to change course, we need to go back to sensible electricity policies. That's what we're stuck with. It's really going to get quite unpleasant, Mike.
But it's even worse than that, isn't it, in a way? Because Miliband is now sabotaging anybody who might want to think like that by filling in the wells for the fracking, so that nobody can ever go back there and decide, well, maybe actually fracking is quite a good idea. The same with the coal mines, cementing the shafts so that nobody can go and reopen them. I mean, it really is what I call industrial vandalism.
I mean, there is an element of that. I mean, this is not as bad as the Conservatives blowing up coal-fired power stations, because that essentially is permanent. When he's concreting over wells, it's more about public relations, isn't it? Because, it's easy enough for somebody to drill another well, 20 paces further to the right, and, we can start producing again. So, yeah, that's PR.
Yeah, but it's not as easy as it would have been if they hadn't cemented over the first lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is madness. I mean, this idea that, Starmer was quite clear yesterday that we're going to be using oil and gas for the foreseeable future, at least out until 2050. So why on earth would you want to be concreting over a gas well in the UK? Why is it better to import gas on a ship from America when we can produce it locally? At much lower carbon emissions, much lower price, plus tax revenue for the Chancellor. He's just not thinking this through. The whole thing is about making statements that appeal to the green blob. So closing the oil well is really just trying to make environmentalists happy. It's not about the vast majority of people in this country who just want and need lower energy bills.
Yeah, and all this energy security summit nonsense run by the rather amusingly named Fatih, Turkish economist, who kept getting name-checked yesterday, and I thought they were just making fun of his name. Thanks, Fatih, for turning up, and it was all, thank you, Fatih, great to see Fatih here. I was like, who's this Fatih character? To look him up. But, this idea that we're going to get into bed with Ursula von der Leyen and have some kind of joint Euro policy on net zero, it smells like panic. It smells like they're absolutely panicking, and they have to try and make something work, try and put some kind of policy in place before it all goes, I can't say the word really, but you know what I mean, before it goes up. Previous word.
We're not going to get any energy security from the EU. We saw this, in 2022 when the prices went through the floor, and everybody across the EU started talking about cutting interconnectors to other country, and the French were playing silly bees with the Channel Islands, trying to threatening them with being cut off. Yeah, we need, the only security is in domestically produced power.
Of course.
So that means fracking, it means coal, and it means closing down the wind farms because they're not reliable. There's no security there.
Well, I said this yesterday when von der Leyen was speaking to the conference. I said, so here are the European leaders who completely screwed up their own domestic energy supplies by being so reliant on Russia, telling us all why we need to have energy security. You couldn't make it up.
No, absolutely. In some ways, it was. You could look at it as an anti-energy security conference. Yeah, Miliband is mad, and the sooner people realise that and get rid of him, the better. I don't know whether you saw yesterday on Twitter that Mad Ed was trending. So clearly, word is getting round.
Oh, it is. And he's looking more and more deranged. That interview he does with Sky, where he's trying to convince everybody that the price of gas is fixed internationally, even though it seems to cost an awful lot more in this country than it does anywhere else. It's quite remarkable. We've played it out quite a few times this morning, so I'll spare you this one. But thank you very much indeed, Andrew Montford, director of Net Zero Watch, who says Mad Ed was trending yesterday.